Hey, what is up, guys? And welcome back to another Magic the Gathering online league. We're back with Tron on the play for game one. I know I said yesterday that we were going to be going with Eldrazi aggro, kind of going through a normal rotation. I don't know, but I'm kind of obsessed. Like, my current obsession with Magic is with Tezzeret. I just want to find a way to break it. I feel like there is the right... Oh, no, this is Neoform, isn't it? I'm in danger. Green. Interesting. I can play the power plant as I intended. I can play a chromatic star for another green and try and find Bobble or Bobble. I think Bobble's my only out. Yeah. Also, I'm realizing that my deck list didn't update. 1 second. I updated it. As you may have noticed, there was a Dismember in main. Yes, we go Chromatic Star. And crack for green. Always yield. That's not what I wanted. I will pass. Yeah, we're looking specifically for Bobble there. I'm trying to find a one of. It was unlikely. So they have it, especially if they have the Xenagos OTK. Otherwise, we will be able to play the Tez. Do you have it? If not, we might be able to get somewhere. Because we could Chalice for 2, which takes out Neoform. Shoot. Yeah, that's the thing you're doing, Grizzlebrand, or do you have the Xenagos OTK? I swear more control needs to be played in the current meta of Neoform running around, or Neobrand rather. Okay, so Grizzlebrand. Okay, so we're not dead. However, so they can dig 14 cards deep, and from there go for the Xenagos OTK, because they can dig 14 cards deep, try and find Consigned to Memory, try and find... What can we do? Try and find Consign, try and find Pact. We could devour the Grizzlebrand, but again, they can dig 14 deep. What's the best move here? So if we go devour, we eat the Grizzlebrand, they dig 14 deep, Grizzlebrand gets exiled, they go for another Rider, they have a third Neoform somewhere in the deck, but they would need to find it, admittedly. And it's possible that they whiff in the top 14. So maybe the Devour is the right play. Let's go for it. Pass. Like I said, they'll dig 14 deep. But this way they can only dig 14. Imagine the Devour hits board. Otherwise, we could have played Tezzeret. Tried to find, I don't know, Chalice of the Void, or pulled Chalice of the Void, or Vexing Bauble. If they counted the Vexing Bauble, though, then we're kind of left with nothing. We could play another Tezzeret, but that doesn't do anything, right? So, yeah, I think this may have been the right choice, because Pacting the Devour doesn't do anything. Because now basically says, did you find your third Neoform? If you did, then I'm probably dead. Breeding Pool, shocked to 4. Did you find the Neoform. They also, I think most of them are off of Birthing Ritual now. I think most of them have just gone to for Neoform. There's Pact. Pact for what? Rider. So I think they found the Neoform, or is it just going to be used as a blocker? Could just be used as a blocker. Okay. Ultimate Evolution? Nope. Neoform. Gulta. Pact for Xenagos. Unless you already have the Xenagos in hand. Yep, you already have the Xenagos in hand, which means you will double Gulta attack in for 20 exactly, because Devour's a 6/6. Brutal. Yeah, you got it. We'll just take the damage. Yep, that is lethal. That is Neobrand for you. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I've been just trying to figure out ways to break Tezzeret. Broodscale felt good in, Tron has felt good in. I think it does maybe have a better home in Eldrazi Tron just because it can run Everflowing Chalice pretty easily with Ugin's Lab. I tried to like goldfish some Dice Factory lists that I was building, and I just didn't like them. The play around Everflowing Chalice and Core Tapper is cute, but I don't know. It just never clicked with me. So we need Grafdiggers. We don't want Haywire Mite. We can cut the Gemstone. What else? Engineered Explosives is not good here. What else? Soul Guide's good for Hooting Mandrills. Vexing Bobble Cage is good. Flute. Flute makes sense. Yeah, there isn't much else to bring. I guess we could Needle for Beseiju. That's a consideration. Needle. We want Chalice and Main. We can always grab Trinisphere off Karn if we get that far. Yeah, this looks probably as good as it's going to get for this matchup, short of me playing 2 Warping Whales on the side, which might not be a bad idea. On the play for game 2, that's a mulligan. This is a mulligan. Because if we had a chromatic, then I would be more than happy to play this, but we don't. Especially on the play. On the draw, maybe I'd be willing to keep, because we could draw in the chromatic, play the mine, play the chromatic, then we'd have 8 hits off the top for a Tron land. Granted that we didn't hit one off the Devourers, but this seems rough. Yeah, so I think we have to pitch this as well. Go down the 5, which is less than desirable, to say the least. Yeah, Neoform just really does make it difficult to play Tron or Eldrazi Tron. Even Eldrazi Ramp at times can be pretty rough. Sure. Pitch Ugin, pitch Tez. We have 4 hits off the top. I guess actually 8 hits for Stirrings on 2. Maybe we pitch Tower, pitch Tez, keep the Ugin as a potential finisher. Opponent kept opening 7, which does not inspire confidence in me. And pass. Hedge Maze, Surveil. Yeah, the moment I see a turn 1 Hedge Maze anymore, I just go, oh crap, it's Neobrand. Okay, so we did hit the Stirrings. This is why I do like the Talisman in the list. Because we can Talisman the Stirrings on 2. It opens up some unique lines. They'll be whiffed. Brutal. I'll grab another tower. Have 4 hits off the top for mine, but we also have Grafdigger's Cage, Bauble, Disruptor Flute. If we get there, I guess also Chalice of the Void X2. Like always, I guess not this turn, but next turn, could always go for Evolution though. So no, I guess that really isn't an option. Yeah, if they just have Evolution, then Chalice on 2 only stops the Neoform. Brutal. Yeah, between Neoform, Birthing Ritual, and Eldritch Evolution, there are just so many ways for Neoform to get their creatures out. Rider, damn. Neoform. I mean, I imagine that everyone has to be packing some hate for Neoform in the main, or no shot. You have the OTK on 2. Packed. Xenagos 26. Yeah, I mean, there really is not much I can do about that. We'll take the hit. That is Neobrand for you. So yeah, just kind of thinking about that for the upcoming RCs, you have to think everyone in the back of their mind just goes, okay, what do I do if I run into Neobrand, right? That's why we're seeing Cages and Baubles main. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, short of just like drawing into the right cards at the right time, there's not much I could do there. Alright, well, sometimes win some, sometimes lose some. We'll be back for match 2. Alright, we're back for match 2. On the draw for game 1, we'll mulligan this. I will keep this, however, pitching a Karn and pass. Question of the day is, do I play Might on 1? Probably doesn't hurt, especially if it's into Affinity. Which I for some reason have a sneaking suspicion this might be. Blood Crypt, Shock. Okay, maybe not. Thoughtseize one? Faithless Looting. So it looks like instead it might be Reanimator. Oh. Dredge? Might be Dredge. Interesting. Alright, well that map draw changes things. We play map. Pass. And pass. So yeah, going for a Tormod's Crypt on 3 seems good. Faithless Looting. There's Bloodghast, plays a land. Trigger Bloodghast. Bloodghast comes back, triggering Private Amalgams. Delayed trigger. Which means I'm going to take a beating next turn. DRC on top of which? Yeesh. Prize Amalgam triggers. 3, 6, 9, 11, 12. Yeesh. There's a tower. Pass. Not much I can do about that is the problem. Rise Amalgam delay triggers, but they're already on field. Smooth point. I mean, that was a pretty good turn 2 opponent. No doubt about that. There's so much grave hate in the format that it seems surprising that this is viable. Then again, I guess Reanimator's seen a resurgence. Maybe there's not enough grave hate, main. Discard up to 2 cards, draw that many. Huh. Yeah. Trigger Surveil. Card to Yard. discard 2, or discard up to 2. Sneaky Snacker? Huh? Huh. Bobble, Crack Bobble. DRC has Delirium. So I'm going to take 12, 14 down to 6. Huh. So what's my hope here? I think it has to be Ugin off the top. Yeah, it might have to be Ugin off the top. Map Crack for mine. Bobble Trigger. And draw. Stirrings doesn't cut it. We can play Talisman. So this is... What's my out? Do I have one? I don't think so, because I can play Carne, then have 3. I can bridge, but I have too many cards in hand, so bridge is an option. I can play mine into Talisman's Ancient Stirrings, leaving me a 5. With 5 mana, I can do what or search for what? Nothing of relevance. Nothing that would get me out of this specific situation. Yeah, we'll concede. Not much I can do about that. So this is... Dredge? Question mark? Like, we didn't see any Dredge cards, but it feels like it's Dredge. Huh. You already have the Soul Guide. Vaccine Bobble can get cut. Might can get cut. Gemstone out. What else? Grafdigger's Cage in. Engine Explosives probably out. Starting to realize we have too many cards that we cut, not enough that can come in reasonably. Like Bridge, Transfer, no. Needle, no. Might, no. Like, we guess we could keep in Might. Otherwise, we could bring in Battleship, Sunring Titan, Leveler. Maybe some number of Allah's Dust would be worth it in the side. Either that, or maybe some Sweepers. I mean, like, good old O-Stone? Maybe that's a consideration that I haven't thought about. Maybe. Yeah, we don't have enough to bring in for this matchup, so maybe keep in Might. Or even keep the Gemstone. The Tormod script we want for Karn. Yikes. Yeah, I guess I'll keep the Might and the Bobble. At least with the Bobble we can always cycle it. What do we even cut? The Engineered Explosives? That's about it. Looks like it. Alright. I'll play for game 2. That's a mulligan. This is keepable-ish. I will pitch the Gemstone. Because we don't... Yeah, if we don't draw into the Tron land, we're kind of SOL. So we'll pass. We have 8 hits off the top for Tron lands. We have 2 draws. We'll pass. DRC, no looting. Looting pitches what? Prize Amalgam, Bloodghast, DRC. The DRC kind of confuses me. Wonder. Yeah, so it feels like Dredge. But we haven't seen a single Dredge card. With green. Chalice. Stirrings. There is... You gotta be joking me, a second tower. We'll grab the tower. As well as I saw Tron land, I got excited, but then I got immediately disappointed. Maybe I should have kept the gemstones. We would have had another land for Tezzeret on 3. Maybe. Maybe. Good Chalice next turn for 1, but maybe not. Bobble. Guess we could have bobble or went for 0 for bobble. Consideration. Sneaky Snacker. That's a weird one. That's Popper's table. Was not expecting that here. And then you're gonna looting to bring back Snacker. Yeah, look at that. Surveil. Tries to find prized amalgam. Trigger on the stack, and then you pitch. And you can still pitch the prized amalgam because Sneaky Snacker is a delayed trigger. Or no, is it draw 2 cards, trigger, then discard 2 cards? Oh, interesting. So it does work that way, where it's a delayed trigger, because it has Faithless Looting has to resolve in full. It's not reflexive. Okay, interesting. Bobble trigger, draw. Nope. Upkeep. Draw. Citadel. Do we actually want to crack for green? Because we drawn 2 Stirrings or Scrying, we're gonna want that. So it might be better for Darksteel Citadel, Tezzeret. Flare of Denial. Sacrificing the Sneaky Snacker. So it's like Dredgeless Dredge. How weird. Yeah, this is basically what it is, right? Dredgeless Dredge. Interesting. Again, we still have 8 hits off the top for their Tron land. If we don't draw into a land, we'll likely have to crack this star. Try and go for Karn for Tormod's Crypt. What the hell? I'll be real, I have no clue what I'm playing against at this point. This thing is so off the meta that, yeah, I have no clue. I have no clue. Tezzeret. I'm going to Chromatic for green. Always yield. Chromatic. So I can play Captain. I can untap Darksteel Citadel. We can play Chromatic. I think I might... Do I chalice for 0? If I chalice for 0, I can't grab Crypt is the only problem. I think I still chalice for 0 for Bobble, I suppose? Though it doesn't stop it from triggering the Quarry Steel Cutter's the problem, right? We could play Chromatic. Could just hold the Dismember. I'm gonna chalice for 0. Triggers Tez, always yield. I'm gonna hold. Paying cost for Faithless Looting. Cathartic Reunion. Discard a card, draw 3, Surveil. Sneaky Snacker comes back. Yes. Tapped. Black. Thoughtseize. Triggers Corey's Steel Cutter. Snacker to yard. Corey resolves. I will dismember the DRC. And then pass E. Monk hits Tezzeret. For 2. Tezzeret to 3. No, it's me? That's fine if you do that. Okay, going for me. So they're gonna ignore Tezzeret, which is fine. Draw. Ugin. Yeah, we just not been drawn into lands, have we? So we can Chromatic. We're gonna have access to 4 mana. The other option is what? Play Chromatic. Trigger. Crack for green. Trigger. Draw a card. Jesus. Yeah, variance has not been kind to me today, clearly. We could Tez minus Ballista. Actually, you know what? We can Tez minus Might, get rid of Corey's Steel Cutter. Grab Haywire Might. Play the Might. Trigger. Exile the Corey's Steel Cutter. Pass in full, we gain a bit of life, we get rid of card. We're still in a horrible position right now. We have 4 mana at most, I guess 5 if I draw into a land. 3 cards in their hand. Another Corey Steel Cut, because of course. Yeah, I have no real way of anticipating what the hell they're doing. Flare of what the what? So like they're playing Flare of Denial, Flare of Malice in conjunction with Sneaky Snacker. That way they always they can just sack Snacker on a whim. I don't know. I do not know. Also, yeah, our variance has been garbage. We've had so many hits off top and so many draws to find them. We found nothing. Wild. Flare of Malice. Faithless Looting, trigger. That's 5. Sneaky Snacker's trigger. So yeah, it basically is like Dredgeless Dredge. That's the best way I can describe it at this point. I take 5, down to 3, then what? I don't think I have any recourse. No, it's Chromatic. I'll concede. We're not hitting lands at a reasonable rate, and our opponent has had some weird stuff. Alright, That said, we'll be back for match 3. Alright, we're on the play for match 3, game 1. I will keep 4 hits off the top. Let's see what we got. I wonder if I should change these Dismember mains to Warping Whale mains. Is a consideration. Whale works as a pseudo talisman of sorts, can counter Scape Shift, can exile Ral, can counter Living End. So, like, it's a consideration. Lighted Halfling, do we bolt the bird? Another power plant for green. Always yield, draw. Looking for mine, no mine. Ancient Stirrings. We find another tower. Tezzeret can find maps. We'll grab Tez. We'll play tower and bolt the bird. And pass. And pass. So this Broodscale is this Yawgmoth. It's something that I just have no clue what to anticipate. Stirrings feels like Broodscale. It do indeed. There's the blade. You have a land to play the blade. Otherwise, we could Chalice for 1 to brick the blade. Okay, they have the gemstone, they have the blade. Draw. Power plant. I will play Tezzeret. Minus Tezzeret for map. I'll pass. So next turn we can play map, crack map, but then we only have access to 2 is the problem. Maybe I should have went for a chromatic. 4. TKS main. Interesting. Takes Karn. I can't imagine that they wouldn't take Karn. Yeah. Draw. Of course. So we found the mine. So we play the mine. We can Chalice for X equals 2, so 4 mana. That would then stop them from casting the Broodscale freely. And it doesn't really stop much of what we're doing by comparison. So I think that's correct. So let's start with Chalice. Done. So this will stop Broodscale. Tezzeret is going to be down. So we'll probably just do this. Map. Trigger. Minus. Yield. Do we go for a chromatic? Do we go for might? We could go for chromatic, play chromatic, crack chromatic, EE for 1, clear the blade. Draw a card. No, I guess that's the map, which kind of sucks, actually. We can crack the map, but then we can't go for the EE. I don't know, the good news is that they can't do much to interact with Chalice main outside of a Seiju. We could also go Soul Guide Lantern. There's a few options, I suppose. I'll grab a chromatic. Yeah, I think that might be the best play in the grand scheme. Play the chromatic. Crack it for green. Soul Guide. Play EE for 1. And play Soul Guide. Soul Guide will eat the Ancient Stirrings. And at this point, we'll pass. Saga. We can cycle the Soul Guide if needed. Again, at least we have worked around Broodscale. Broodscale, Malevolent Rumbler are dead cards in hand. 4. Another TKS? Let's go TKS beats. Maybe. Does feel like one of my older lists that I was running TKS with. So we should know it pretty well. Attack for 4. Down to 12. I need to draw into something. And so I'll probably crack map for green. Before I draw? I guess it doesn't... See, I want to thin so I don't draw into dead cards. So crack map. For a forest. Draw. Ugin. So I will play Ugin. Ugin target nothing. This does start a clock. Ugin plus draw card. Alright. So in that case, I'm going to pass and hold in case they K command for X equals 2 to try and grow the TKS. They do not. Saga. One problem I do foresee here is that they could have a might. Most lists do run one might main and would be able to stop. I would be able to interact with Chalice. Playing Flesh Rake. Okay. And begin combat. I imagine attack Ugin. Yep, attack Ugin. That is fine. Down to 5. End step. I will pass. Draw. Sylvan Scrying. Ugin plus. Draw a card. Stirrings. We can play a forest, cast Stirrings, because we can't cast Scrying, because it's Chalice. There's Karn. So now I can cast Karn and have 7 left over. What can we do with 7 mana is the question. We could go for Bridge. That would stop TKS from attacking, but not the Construct and not the Flesh Raker is the only problem. Yeah, not having the 8th mana is kind of rough. But not playing Karn wouldn't make much sense either. We could instead go Ballista. That, I think, makes more sense. So in that case, cast Karn. Who can trigger? No target. Always yield. Minus Karn. Yes. I can grab... It's either Ballista or it is Bridge. Again, Bridge doesn't do enough to keep Karn on board, whereas Ballista can do a little bit more. So in that case, we'll go with Ballista. And done. Trigger, done. And hold. This way it can block the TKS. Make a construct. Hits me for 1. So unless they have Pithy Needle Main, we should be okay. You make a construct. I mean, this isn't actually enough to save Karn is the problem. Makes a construct, triggers the Flesh Rake, then searches. So we're able to block the TKS, ping down the Flesh Rake, but Karn still dies, so the construct is the problem. Yeah. Soul Guide Lantern. Target me? Tez. Okay. Yeah, I kind of wish this EE was on 0 now. Damn. Prismatic Vista. Fetch to 19. We can shrink the construct by 2. Ballista for 0. Okay. Triggers. Ballista for 0. Triggers the TK, or the blade, which is fine. Yep. We're gonna block the TKS anyways. So this is okay. What is this? 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it can't be that. Is it a K command? K command would be annoying, actually. Okay. Scry draw. I'm surprised they didn't exile my Ballista. Because if they had done that, wouldn't they have just won? I guess I would have pinged down the Flesh Rake first, but it would have still been, I think, pretty low. I mean, I guess if they do it now, I just lose. So if they have another K command, they win. Yeah. If they don't have another K command, we're fine. Oh, no shot. You do have it. have an out here? I don't think so if they have another K command. If it's a TKS, that's fine. If it's a K command, I lose. If they exile the Ballista. Yeah, that is in fact the problem. The fresh, what am I supposed to do with that? Draw card. I mean, I'll have to draw a card here. Pay one, draw a card. Saga. That does nothing. And the bigger problem now is just the fact that the blade is going off. So they're going to add 4 more, which is 10 on its own. Yeah, so we just concede. I physically can't do anything. Okay. I mean, the construct... I mean, my only other thought is we could have went for the bridge as we had considered. And if we had, the TKS wouldn't have been able to attack. The construct still would have been able to, though. I guess they would have had to have failed to find and not played an artifact. And not made another construct. Otherwise, it would have been too big to attack. And I guess that is a consideration. Interesting. Basking Broodscale, lost for game 1. Let's move to sideboard for game 2. I mean, they had double K command, which was a bit unexpected. So we want Pithy Needle in, Vexing Bauble out, Soul Guides in, Gemstone out. We could argue what? Second might we might want for Karn. Torpor Orb, no. Flute. We could argue Flute in, but we also want that for Karn. EE Ballista. Oh. Atmosphere. And I guess I could bring in Leveler. Yeah, the Chalice is good, the EE is good, the Ballista's good. Might. Like, this is where I'd normally bring in Dismember, so maybe do put Dismember back in the sideboard, because I feel like I don't have enough cards to the sideboard in half the time. So keep the Leveler in, or Battleship. Let's do Leveler, because it can deal with an Emrakul, I suppose. On the play for game 2, I will keep... We're just trying to make the hand better, not looking for anything specific. So we'll just reveal 1 Devourer. Reveal 1. Trigger. Do they also have pregame? No, I was about to say. There's the tower, but there's Karn. So we'd grab Karn. Mine. Map. Pass. Pass. Halfling. Draw. Card. Hold. So if they have a temple into a TKS, they'll strip Karn from hand. Ancient Stirrings resolves. I mean, next turn we have Tron. We also could just bolt the bird for the halfling. There's the TKS, but it's late. Okay. You have a green source. Otherwise, I worry about Seiji. You don't. Put a pause on end step. Attack for 1. We have TKS lineup for next turn. So, grab tower. We'll play the Karn. We have multiple cards now. Interesting. I mean, again, they would need a temple for the TKS. We could just devour Temple the Delighted Halfling. Otherwise, I guess I could Karn into Liquid Metal and do it that way. Or Tezzeret into Ballista. We could Tezzeret into Ballista. That is an option. Not sure it's a good option, though. I mean, if I devour it, they need a temple. If I Karn into Liquid Metal Coating, they need a temple, right? So it doesn't really matter in that regard. So, play Karn. Minus Karn. Yes. For Liquid Metal. Cast Liquid Metal. And then hold. Liquid Metal target Saga. And pass. This way they can't make a construct. Not at least until my turn. Which if they do that, we have EE to clear it. They found the temple for the TKS, so they play the TKS. That means that we have 7 mana. Would like an 8th, because if we get an 8th, then we can Battleship. Imagine you take the Tezzeret. Out. So must have drawn into the temple then. Draw. Okay, so there's 8. So forest. Minus. Always yield. Always yes. Extinguisher Battleship. Battleship. Target Saga. Or it's not cast, right? It's an ETB. Battleship definitely is a good addition to the Karn board. ETB. Hit Saga. Trigger. Always yield. And then we'll go to Upkeep. Liquid Metal Coating, target Temple, and pass. And draw. And bones comes up. Alright. Let's go to sideboard for game 3. We'll want the gemstone back. I guess we cut the leveler. Maybe we should have just kept the gemstone in? Maybe. Arguable. Alright, let's run it back like this then. Yeah, main difference, we just brought in the Pithy Needle. Now, one thing about this version, it definitely feels threat light at times. It feels like you win through control more than you do through any reasonable threat on board. I mean, we'll keep. I just need to draw into some action. And opponents pass through their turn accidentally. I'm so sorry, opponent. Draw, chromatic, map, and pass. I've been there, done that. I feel you. It's a hashtag only in Moto type of situation. Vista, fetch for green, delighted halfling. Do I like seeing halfling being played? Might. Yeah, I mean, they would have been able to might my map to delay me. We already had another map, not to mention we truants at a power plant anyways, so moot point. I will pass. It does raise the question of, do I fetch for something? I mean, I imagine the answer is yes. We have 2 more maps, so we definitely should fetch. Shifting woodland. Woodland's interesting. That's not something you normally see in this. So Ancient Stirring's out, so you take Broodscale or Blade. Chooses Broodscale, so it feels like they might already have a Blade then. Pause on end step. Attacks for 1. Crack the map. Do we go for another tower? We also could go for a forest. Feel like that would telegraph my Basiju pretty heavily, though. Could go for Saga as well, arguably. But they have the Might, which makes that feel pretty bad. I'll go for another tower, I suppose. It also telegraphs that I don't have a second tower in hand. There's Tezzeret. So we can Tezzeret for something like Pithy Needle, but that doesn't matter because of Might. But I guess we go Chalice on 2 for Broodscale. They'll have to Might it. And then that gives us an opening for next turn. Yeah, that might not be the worst idea. Tezzeret. Otherwise, I guess we could just go Tezzeret Needle. Minus. We could always just go Tezzeret Needle, Chromatic, hold Basiju. It gives us more lines available. Could also go Ballista X2. That's also a consideration. Ping the Might, ping the token. That is a thought. Because then they wouldn't have enough mana under any circumstance to Broodscale Blade. Yeah, we'll go Ballista then. And done. Trigger, always yield. But do I need to do that right now? We can always Ballista the Broodscale. That's true as well. Yeah, maybe that is probably right. This protects the Tezzeret. We can pop the Broodscale on a whim. So we'll pass then. And hold. Next turn we can Tezzeret again. Temple. So they can Broodscale adapt. They can cast the Blade, but they can't equip is the biggest thing. I guess they can Broodscale. Actually, no, I still don't have enough. There's Broodscale. Okay. And so they can adapt. Let us hold. Draw. Chalice. So we can Chalice for 1. Play Tower. We can tick up on Ballista. We can map, chromatic. That's 3. That'd bring Tezzeret up to 5. A Chalice would be 6. Could do that. Otherwise, we can just 0 Tez. And that way we can ping the Broodscale pretty freely. Let's go map, trigger. Trigger Tez, always yield. Map, trigger. Tez, always yield. Chromatic, trigger. Trigger Tez. And so we can buff the Ballista by 1. We can 0 on Ballista for 0. Or 0 on Ballista plusing it. So in that case, let's start by going to combat. Because if they want to Broodscale and chump it, that's kind of fine, right? Maybe I should have not played these first. I should have waited. That way I could have pumped this twice if they had decided to block, I suppose. If they want to offer a trade of the Broodscale, I'd be more than happy to take it. Attack for 2. I guess we could also just pop the Might with the Ballista, then minus for whatchamacallit, Pithy Needle. Name Blade. We have the Beseiju though. Untap. Put a counter on it. Imagine at one point in time that must have been a +1 instead of a 0 and they realized it was too good. But they have Beseiju? Potentially. Alright, puts a counter on Ballista. And so is it a good idea at this point just to pop the Broodscale? I'm gonna put a counter on Ballista. And I'll just move to pop the Broodscale. If they adapt, we'll just pop it before the counter goes on, so they lose a spawn. Broodscale down. Keep it at 2. We hold a Beseiju. Alright. Prismatic Vista. I mean, the 1000 IQ play for them is 1000% to sack Might, target sphere, force me to float, and then pass. Or rather, phase change. That'd be the 1000 IQ play if they have something. Fetch the 16. 'Tis a forest. There's Fleshraker. Fleshraker's fine. Just Springleaf Drum, trigger Flash Raker is fine. Not ideal, but fine. Light Halfling, that's fine. Springleaf Drum for green, might... No, Blade of the Bloodchief. Blade of the Bloodchief is fine. Trigger, do you attempt to equip is the question. If you do, we Besage you it. Sack, trigger resolves. Attempt to equip, in response, Chromatic Sphere for green. Besage you who endures. We drew an Ancient Stirrings. Choose to use the ability, fails to find. No equip. And phase change. Alright. So, we draw. Chromatic. So we'll start with Darksteel Citadel, trigger Tez. Play Chromatic, trigger Tez. Actually going to start with Tower, crack for green, draw. Chromatic, trigger Tez. Ancient Stirrings. Why is it always asking me to like pass my own priority? Like I'm not holding priority. There's Ugin. I'll grab Ugin. Any order. So in that case, cast Ugin. Ugin target halfling. Done. I will Ugin 0. Put a counter on Ballista. Tezzeret minus. Go to combat. Tezzeret trigger, target Ballista. Always yield. So I will go to combat. They have one card in hand. Might is down. Triggers. And I will ping 1. Ping 2. 3. And 4. And pass. We still have 2 for Broodscale if needed. And Bone scoops it up. We'll take the win. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Good stuff. Alright. We'll be back for match number 4. Alright. We're back for match 4 on the play for game 1. I mean, we have 8 hits off the top. I will keep. Mulligans to 6. Alright, they keep 6. We'll go with Chromatic, as it does allow us to see an extra card. Of course, the only downside is that we might not be able to find what we need. Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is interesting here. Do they take the Stirrings or take the map? Huh. the Chalice. Interesting. Well, you found another Urza, but... What the hell? I didn't click W. But I didn't click white either? Okay. Sure, I guess. Another chromatic. That... What is happening? Because W would be what I use, but I didn't click W. Well, that's really annoying. I'll play the map. Why would it auto-select white? The only thing I can think of is that for some reason it thinks that I'm inputting W, but if that were the case and my W key input was stuck, when I just typed my opponent, then it should have just typed W, right? That's the Tezzeret. Well, that's really annoying. Pitch. The Ancient Stirring's gonna can't do anything with it, I guess. So this is rack. Draw. So dumb. Crack map for mine. Or for power plant, rather. Power plant for map. And I'll pass. So next turn we'll have access to 5 mana. They can retrace by pitching a land. I mean, if we can keep the Tezzeret, that would be nice. Yeah, I wish I was able to play that Stirrings. I always thought, like, maybe the first one I misclicked, but no, the second one was definitely not. Compass Bridge. We can play around Bridge pretty easily. Draw. Crack map. For tower. Play tower. Play Tezzeret. Minus Tezzeret. They took Chalice. I mean, we can do a few things here. Again, I'm not too worried about the bridge necessarily, because we can also just go Ballista. That's an option. We also could just go Chromatic at this point. Yeah, I'll just go with a Chromatic for now, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. Chromatic. Trigger, always yield. Lantern. If they want to retrace the Raven's Crime, I'm fine with that. Eats the Raven's Crime. And hold. Tezzeret 3. And I guess I should hold, not pass in full. Yeah, like I said, I don't really care about the bridge, because we normally don't win with combat damage. Sacrifice a creature and sacrifice a land. Okay. Pitch. Sack. That's fine by me. Draw. Sphere. crack for green. Okay, so let me actually select this time. Link up. There's Karn. Play Karn. Do we minus Karn, and if so, for what? Yeah, actually we do minus Karn for Trinosphere. You thought you were gonna lock us out, but quite the opposite. Trinosphere. Trinosphere. Trigger. Always yield. Don't have anything that I want to necessarily -4 right now. I guess I could -4... what? Map? But we can't play it, so we're just gonna hold them. And pass. And pass. So we're gonna Trinosphere lock you out the game because I can grab Liquid Metal. Or I can see about grabbing another bridge. Yeah, that's fine. I do not care about bridge. Draw. Ancient Stirrings. So in that case, let's minus with Karn. Yes. For Liquid Metal Coating. Cast Liquid Metal Coating. Trigger Tez. Cast Chromatic. Trigger Tez. Phase Change. Put a stop on Upkeep. And Liquid Metal Coating. And pass. Float 1, but we're gonna phase change, so you lose it. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Trinosphere's on board, friend. You cannot Raven's Crime. Draw. Liquid Metal Coating, target. Plus Tez 0 and Liquid Metal Coating. Let's crack for green. Tower, Ancient Stirrings. Ancient Stirrings. Tezzeret, Might, EE. I'll grab the Might, I suppose. Play the tower. Play the Might. Trigger Tezzeret. And pass in full. Put a pause on Upkeep. Liquid Metal Coating. Target the swamp and pass. Like I said, I just am going to lock you out the game between Karn and Tezzeret. Again, you cannot. Trinosphere is on board. Stop it. Like, I have you fully locked. You cannot do anything. And I have Walking Ballista, so I will just lock you out the game. Karn plus. And opponent realizes that it's a dead end. So this is 8 rack. Or the rack. Not the rock, the rack. In for game 1. So they probably will be bringing in Break the Ice. Do you want to note that? Vaccine Bauble. Probably not necessary. Might, because they probably are gonna, like, they have the rack, they probably have Saga. Soul Guide for the Retrace. Dismember feels incorrect here, I think. Might, do we want a Pithy Needle? Pithy Needle might be worth it. What else? EE's fine. Chalice for 1 is fine. Again, we're kind of sitting here with maybe not enough cards to the board in. Could bring in Leveler, could bring in Battleship. Again, this is a situation where maybe Warping Mill would be nice. We'll keep the Dismembers and run it back. On the draw for game 2. Yes, I will keep Reveal, Gemstone, Gemstone, Exile, Pass. This way you can Sylvan Scrying on 1. Opponent must give their return. Swamp, Thoughtseize, Hopeless Nightmare. Each opponent discards a card. I'll discard a Power Plant. Alright. Trigger. There's Power Plant, there's Map, there's Stirrings. I'm gonna say let's grab the Stirrings. Draw. Power Plant. Sylvan Scrying for green. Or for mine, rather. Ooh, I will say only having 1 Power Plant in board is a bit rough, though. Pass. We can play Tezzeret next turn. I think play Smallpox here to sack the Gemstone. Ravens, Crime. I will pitch the Ancient Stirrings. I'd rather keep the Tez. Raven's Crime, pitching a lands, Retrace. In that case, I'll pitch the Tezzeret. Draw. Play the Mine. Actually, we'll play the Tower here. I'll play the Mine, yeah. Play the Mine, then we'll pass. We do need to now draw into something is the only problem. Pass. Land, 3 in hand. I mean, you could cast Bridge again. I don't exactly care about Bridge. Sacrifice a creature, vehicle. Can't discard a card. So we'll pitch the Mine. Draw. Saga. Saga might actually be worth playing over the Tower right now, because I can't do anything with Tower, but Saga can eventually grab us a map. At least Saga can apply pressure across 2 turns. Yeah, we'll do that. It's a little bit unintuitive for what we're doing, but I think it's right. Pass in full. Because yeah, we can make a construct, apply pressure. Hopeless Nightmare, we pitch the Tower, which we knew was likely going to happen. Draw. Trigger Chromatic. Play the Chromatic, and then we'll pass. So I'm empty-handed, which is fine. Like, go for Rack. We can always go for Might next turn. Bridge. Yeah, we can always just go for Might then. But pause on End Step. Make a construct. Draw. EE. I will make a construct. Trigger. And I'll grab Haywire Mite. I will go for green. We'll hold the chromatic. Mite the bridge. I could hold the EE, but I think it might be better for me just to play it. Otherwise, I'll probably just get pitched. But if they pitch it, am I upset about that? Maybe not. No, we'll just go EE for 0. Go to combat. Swing for 4. Yeah, the problem is if we just keep it in hand, they'll just have us pitch it to Raven's Prime or something else. So just being empty-handed while the rack's not on board is fine. Another bridge. So I can always shrink them is the thing. I'll crack for green then. There is Sylvan Scrying. I guess I can because it's for 0. I guess that's one downside. Tower, play tower, and pass. And pass. Black for what? Raven's Crime, pitch Ugin. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have played the EE, because then we could have pitched the EE instead of the Ugin to Raven's Crime, admittedly. And we would have also been able to attack under bridge with the constructs. Yeah, in retrospect, maybe we should have played around a second bridge, knowing full well that they have it. I will play Talisman of Resilience and pass. And pass. Another bridge. So they're really going for the lock plan. Draw. Karn the Great Creator. I will... Do we minus for Karn now? Actually, yes, I will, because you know what? I'll stay empty-handed all game, but I can play off the top of Mystic Forge. There's Dismember. I will pass. I'll draw. And if you don't have a way to stop Karn, we're just gonna lock you out the game again. Mystic Forge, Exile, Dismember. Chromatic, I'll take the Chromatic. Map. Map is neutral, so I'll do that. Tower, we'll just actually grab the tower off top, so because of that. Tower. I'll play the map. We can crack the map. Grab the Seiju. Play the Chromatic. Crack. Actually, we don't need to crack green yet. Green. Oh no, it's not colorless, right? So actually then, yes, crack the Chromatic for green. Always yield. Because now we can just kind of go through our entire deck. Play the Chromatic. Another Karn. In that case, minus Karn for liquid metal coating. Yeah, we'll start locking them out then. Cast liquid metal coating. Don't need to play the Karn, or I can't play the Karn right now, so moot point there. Could always go for Beseiju, but no reason to right now. I'll just play the Chromatic. And we'll start locking them out the game. Paying cost for what? Sacrifice enchantment. Scry 2, be my guest. Yeah, I think maybe the Mystic Fortune side is definitely better than the Endstone by comparison. Especially with like how many 1-mana spells we have on top, or in our deck. Where we can just kind of play through our entire deck until we find what we need or want. Alright. Liquid metal coating, target. Basking full. Alright. We have second Karn, so liquid metal coating, second Karn, 8. Then we can play Battleship, clear another land. Let's discard an artifact. Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm not killing you with combat damage, let me be clear about that. Draw. Karn, there's Ugin. Local metal target, snow covered. Karn plus. And then Karn. New Karn. Minus with Karn. Yes. With Battleship. And Battleship, ETB. Battleship will hit a snow covered, and I'll pass. Next turn, I'll just Sphere Lock you, and pass. What say you, opponent? Passing, draw. Ugin, don't need the tower, but we can draw through it. I'm gonna minus. Yes. For Trinisphere. And Bones comes in. We'll take the win. Yeah, they're trying to play as hand control, and we can just straight up control the board. Good stuff. We'll be back for match 5. Alright, we're back for match 5. On the draw for game 1, we'll reveal Devourer. And this is turn 3 Tron. This Perfect Springs. Looks like this could be Belcher. Devourer of Destiny. I will grab... I wonder if second Karn would make sense. That way if first Karn gets countered on 3, we can cast second Karn on 4. I think that makes the most sense. Karn. And again, I guess they could just end up forcing this map, which would suck. Hopefully not. It does not. Good. Okay, so not Belcher. Oh. Okay, no. Wait, what? Huh? I am confusion. When this creature enters, Frog Advisor. Is this that one frog? What in the world am I playing against? Attack for 1. Okay. Huh? Shardless Agent. Earthing Ritual? Okay. Interesting. The Simic Ritual? End step trigger. You sack the frog for Coiling Oracle. Okay, so it looks like it's ETB.deck. So in that case, grab Power Plant. So if it's ETB.deck, I mean, we actually do have a decent solution for that. So I can do one of a few things. I can, 1, Devour Birthing Ritual. I can 2, play Karn, minus for Torpor Orb. I think, though, if we just get rid of the Birthing Writ, then we'll be set. So I get rid of the Birthing Writ as a start. This also is a blocker for Karn. And Karn would have to resolve in order for me to get the Torpor Orb, and I was afraid of the Flare. So that makes sense. That works. We'll pass. 2, Quaddle, draw a card. Attack for 2 to 17. End step and draw. Saga trigger. In that case, we just attempt to exile the Quaddle. Yeah, I mean, I think that might make the most sense. Again, kind of playing around on their flare. Exile Quaddle. Cast Chromatic and pass. And pass. There's no flare there. Again, we have protection for Karn. The opponent will just scoop it up. So I'm just going to say Birthing Ritual. And for game 1, the Torpor Orb is good here. Casting for 0, so we want Vexing Bauble. Or I guess not casting for 0. Grafdigger's Cage? Grafdigger's Cage is a yes. I guess Vexing Bauble is still a yes. Little guy, it's probably a no. Chalice feels a bit meh, I think. So does EE, because I think most of their creatures are probably going to be 2 mana. I guess Chalice could still be relevant, but EE feels a bit weak. Maybe bring in the Leveler just so that way we do have access to more cash triggers and a main board threat. This seems reasonable. Let's run it back like this. The draw for game 2. Yes, we can make this work. We have 8 hits off the top. Reveal Devourer and pass. Misty Rainforest, pass trigger. That's a full-on whiff, though. I mean, we could double up. We already have 2 Ancient Stirrings, so I think we just exile all 4. Gemstone's a bit late. Cast Chromatic, we'll pass. Misty Rainforest. Surveil. Quaddle T-Guard and pass. Or Oracle T-Guard, not Quaddle. Birthing Rip, oof. That, yeah, that is an oof. That is the sound that I will make. I suppose there's not much I can do about that, so we'll just play the star. Play Caverns. I guess I can play another star, actually. Play another star, and pass, and pass. So we didn't bring out the Dismember, right? No, I don't think so. So do you sack the oof? I doubt it. Birthing Rip. Alright, draw. Beseiju, good timing, friend. Ancient Stirrings. There is mine. I will take the mine. Any order, I'll play the sphere and pass. Hedge Maze, Surveil, and pass. Misty, 4 in hand, second Birthing Writ, attack with oof to 16. Birthing Writ. I guess it isn't a choice. You do have to look at the top 7 even if you don't plan on using it. Interesting. So we don't have Tron this turn. Draw. Map. Stirrings. Oofda. There is mine. If we had grabbed the tower, then we would have had the mine. We could grab Tezzeret. That is a consideration. Wish I could have grabbed the Dismember. Yeah, we'll grab the Tezzeret, I suppose. Any order. Play mine. I suppose there's no reason to play the Tezzeret now, so I'll just pass. I guess I should play the map. Play the... I guess I could have waited for next one. No, because I want the Graph Diggers. Yeah, because you want to play the Tezzeret, play the Graph Diggers. And pass. Combat to the 14. Triggers. They could just be holding counter magic. The moment that this Devourer is online. So we have 3 hits at the top because you've sent a tower to bottom. Talisman doesn't cut it. Cast Tez. Counterspell. Yep. Force, pass. And pass. I mean, we're just looking for Dismember at this point. Dismember or tower, so 5 hits. Draws a card. Oculus. Oh. So Simic Oculus. Triggers. Yeah, so... Oh. Sacks the Hawk. Quaddle. Oracle, not Quaddle, Jesus. That's a bit of an odd choice in my opinion. Oracle, I guess they're just trying to hold counter magic. Ballista for 2 as a blocker. You could flare. Consign will work too. We'll take 3 to 9. Oracle. Force of Vigor. Riddler. And I can sack the Riddler with Ritual. Oh, that's cute. So yeah, Simic Ritual might be the better thing to call this. So yeah, maybe Birthing Ritual was right. Interesting. Quaddle. So they're just churning through their deck at this point. This oof though. What the fresh hell are you? Oh, that's right. They're not non-permanents on a hand or make a bird. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Draw. Saga trigger. Cast Talisman, pass. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Would be down to 2, so we're not dead yet. We're not exactly in a good spot either, admittedly. Ugh, if only we'd taken the tower instead of the mine. Damn. Horse. Pitching Rit. And pass. Yeah, I think the oof kills us. Down to 2. Rit. Harbinger. Brutal. Yeah, I don't think I can do anything about that. I think that is dead. Arc. Trigger. And tower, you're a bit late to the party, friend. Alright, we'll concede. Alright, let's go to game number 3. So yeah, Dismember definitely in. Might, Bobble. Grafdiggers, might. Yeah, I think we just keep this as is. I think that is reasonable. Alright, let's run it back. On the play for game 3, I will keep 8 hits off top. I will reveal trigger with. We already have a Stirrings. So we can do a few things. We could keep the Besage to play it safe so we can play the Sylvan Scrying on 2. That might be the safest play. At the same time, I'm gonna say no to all. Yeah. Main, mine, star, and pass. And pass. 8 hits out of 50. The odds aren't bad. Not to mention we have 2 draws. Citadel, not what I wanted. Or not fetch. Crack, green, Stirrings. I will play Stirrings. There is Power Plant. So now I need a chromatic or a green source. Any order. Play the Power Plant and pass. And pass. I have 4 hits off top. There's oof. Damn, now I want that Besage. Jesus. Gotta be joking. If I had grabbed the Besage, we could have found it. course they have the oof. The Darksteel Citadel's a brick as well. I mean, you can play the Ballista X1, but that really does nothing for me. I'll play the Citadel, which I can't use. I'll play the Chromatic Sphere, which I can't do anything with either. I'll pass. The fact that they've had oof on turn 2 in games 2 and 3 are just bad luck on my part. Oracle, because now they can just play pseudo-control. I have 4 hits off top, and then 1 forest, so 5 hits. Draw, dismember 7. We'll play map, we'll pass. This oof is going to be the death of me. Waddle, draw a card. If I had just kept up a Seiju, funny enough, he would have been fine, potentially, because we had the Sylvan Scrying. Draw. Might. We'll play the Might. Pass. Two, Coatl. Pass. We'll take the 5 and the 9. No blocks. Draw. Map. Attempt to resolve the Ballista. Pass. Subtlety, bottom. Pass. I mean, we hit the exact cards we needed when we needed them. The oof just absolutely murked us. Harbinger. So now even if I get from underneath of the oof, or draw into the tower again, I lose. You gotta be effing joking me. No. No. Yeah, that will do it. I mean, even if we could play the tower, even if they didn't have the Harbinger, I think we're still dead. We exile the Subtlety, we block the oof. They don't give us the oof though, so attacking the Coatl down to 2. And then I can't really do anything after. Yeah, I'll concede the oof killed me. Yeah, there. Like, maybe I should have kept the Beseiju on the off chance that that happens. I suppose. My thought at that point is, okay, we have 8 hits off the top, and I want to draw into it. Or find it off of the Stirrings. Because if we do, I guess maybe I shouldn't have done that. Well, we had 8 hits off the top and draws. We had 2 draws for 8 hits. And if we hit one of those 8 and then Stirrings into 4, then we'd be off to the races. Because it'd be Tron on 3. If I whiffed, though, like I did, then I would need a Chromatic, which we'd have 7 hits. Green Source, which would be 8 hits. So we'd have a following 8 hits off the top for the last Tron piece. And we did hit the Chromatic. The only problem, of course, is the fact that the oof was on board already. Though I guess we still would have needed another land in order to accomplish that. So maybe keeping the Boseiju was the right play, instead of trying to rip Tron off top. Maybe. Because then it would have allowed us to scrying. Well, no, because if we hit one of the 8 off top, then we would have scryinged into the land, but we stirrings instead. Because stirring, it's always better to stirrings first than scrying, because stirring puts cards to the bottom, meaning they have more chance of finding the last 4 that you want, or last card you want. Gotta be joking me. Yeah, I mean, not much you can do about that. They just had the oof turn 2 both games. And what, they probably play like maybe 3 in the sideboard? So we just got varianced. Unfortunate. Well, sometimes win some, sometimes lose some. And unfortunately, we lost. But it is what it is. With that being said, that there will be the end of today's video. As always, if you did enjoy it, please do consider hitting the like button. Comment down below if you did see any lines that I missed, any mistakes that I made, or any general feedback. It'd be much appreciated. For as much that I hope that you all learn from me about my success and failures, I hope I can learn from you all as well. Last but not least, if you have reached a point in the video and haven't already, please do consider hitting the subscribe button, as we're getting closer and closer to the next goal of 1,000 subscribers. At which point, we'll be able to start monetizing these videos, allowing me to start saving up for a stream PC so I can stream live over on Twitch. In the meantime, though, if you do want to support me monetarily, you can do so over my Patreon, where you get early access to my YouTube videos. With that being said, though, folks, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye!